The title says it all, so let's get to it.
This following video contains spoilers that might upset you if you haven't watched this series. It is advised to avoid this video for your protection of not being spoiled. Also, do know that I most certainly do love the anime series and the characters, but sometimes life can be boring at times, so it's best to be a bit cringy at times. So, yeah.
We start off with the swimming course. Why, you may ask? So you know who's getting the most screen time for season 3. I mean, duh. Before I discuss more on this topic, let's talk about Class 1A Quirks. Ayoma can't stop twinkly. He has the naval laser. Ashido, whose pinky has acid. Asui, whose froppy has frog quirk. Ida, whose ingenium has engine quirk. Choco, whose gravity has zero gravity as her quirk. Ojiro, whose tailspan has tail for his quirk. Kaminari, whose charger boat has electrification. Kirishima, whose red riot is hardening. Kota, whose anima is voice. Sato, whose sugar man is sugar rush. Don't forget. Soji, whose tentacle has dupli arms. Jiro, whose earphone jack has the quirk of earphone jack. Zero, whose cellophane, and his quirk is Tate. Tokoyami, whose Tsukiyomi is dark shadow. Todoroki, whose Shoto is half code and half hot. Toru, whose invisible girl, and her quirk is invisibility. Bakugo, whose hotchan for now is explosion. Midoriya, whose Deku has the one for all quirk, and no one knows what his quirk is. So yeah. Minata, whose grape juice has the quirk of pop-off. Yaoyorozu, whose karate has the quirk of creation. Class 1B quirk will probably be mentioned in Season 5. Maybe. Alright, onto the training camp, where summer vacation is not a thing for those who want to become heroes. We have the Wild Pussycats training Class 1A and 1B and running through the forest to receive their food. And if you fail, then you know you're not truly a hero yet. And unfortunately, you will have to see everyone eat their food as you're sitting there watching them. Kota, a small kid who is short-tempered like Bakugo, resents heroes. And I'll tell you why. Once upon a time, his parents were heroes that he always looked up to. But then one day, they were killed by a villain, a ruthless villain. And since that day, he has been left behind with no one but with the wild pussycat. Yeah, it is heartbreaking, isn't it? But it doesn't mean he can act like a disrespectful little brat. I mean, dude, poor Deku. He just went back into being a manga form. That was just brutal. But, yeah, that's what's happening at camp so far. Anyways, let me talk about the villains. They know where the UA students are located, and it's getting very suspicious as to how they know this. So, there is a possibility that one of the students in Class 1A or 1B can possibly be a spy. But who am I to say? Their mission is to get blood samples and kidnap Bakugo, as they are ready to invade the students that are training like mad crazy because Ayazawa is getting them ready for their test of courage. Most of them anyways, because some of them have failed their exams and are not ready to take the test of courage. The test of courage will begin now. Unfortunately, Deku will have to go by himself. That's okay, because he's the main character, so he won't die. Alright, so how this test of courage works is that they have to fight these villains off and save Kota, because their main goal is to have Kota believe in heroes once again. So they have to be there for him. They can't be useless against villains, and maybe a cool looking hero who doesn't get defeated by enemies. Need to look cool. So Kota knows what brand to buy to become a fanboy, or maybe a hero himself. So, he's saved by none other than Deku. Yay! Alright, enemies that are taken down are Muscle Man, Mustard, Moonfish. Toga escapes with some blood samples. Spinner and Magne, okay, Spinner and Magne escape thanks to Kuroguri. The rest of the villains escape again thanks to, well, Kuroguri's quirk. Oh, and they captured Bakugo, so yeah, the heroes lost. Maybe, maybe. Cause Yaoyorozu has a transmitter on one of those Nobus that can give the lead of where Bakugo is. After this whole incident, one student is missing, and one of the wild pussycat is also missing. Everyone else is unconscious, injured, fine, and some are just frustrated with feeling helpless with the whole incident happening. All Might feels guilty for taking a relaxing bath on that very day. Dude, this poor guy. Deku and the others are upset with the villains and want to save Bakugo. However, there's a conflict whether they should leave it to the pros or take action in saving Bakugo. Asui, who is wise, reminds them that those that do save Bakugo will be no better than a villain themselves, because they don't have a license to become heroes and will definitely break the law. Well, they ignored Asui's words of advice because, again, the main character is Sekio, and no one wants to watch an episode of him being in the hospital all day as the pro heroes go and save Bakugo, right? Yorozu gives All Might and Tsukachi a tracking device to track the Nomu and possibly Bakugo, and Tsukachi might have some clue where their hideout may be. But the tracking device wouldn't hurt to have as well, you know? Yorozu has one for herself to go with Deku, Shoto, and Kirishima. Ida eventually shows up and, he decides to go with them so they don't do anything dumb. But in all honesty, we all know he wants to save Bakugo as well. Oh, and be fashionable. Yep. The media found out about Bakugo, who's a UA student who was captured by the villain, and since there's not a whole lot of drama about the UA Academy, well, this became a very interesting topic indeed. But to spice it up, they make this academy seem like a bad school that should be shut down. It makes me wonder if the media are the villains or the heroes. Citizens are now doubting the UA Academy and those wanting to become heroes to be the next symbol of peace. They fear the future. They believe that one of the students will become a villain. But Aizawa guarantees that the villains are full if they think they can turn Bakugo into a villain, because he knows that Bakugo will be a great hero in the future. As the media is going on, the pro heroes take action to save Bakugo and to put the villains behind bars. That doesn't happen because they escape along with Bakugo. Not surprised. Deku and the others are at the other base, where they find multiple Nomus and in trouble because All For One is taking action and defeating most of the heroes. Yeah, he's not one of the nicest villains. Luckily though, for them, All Might is there, so I guess it's good. But now he has to save Bakugo and fight All For One. Deku, being a smarty pants that he is, knows how to save Bakugo, and that's to make Kirishima be the main character for 1 minute or so. Oh, and Ragdoll is alive, but very weak at the moment. Hooray, Bakugo is saved! It just took 2 attempts to save Bakugo, no big deal. Now all that's left is to defeat All For One, and All Might was about to defeat All For One, but he stopped All Might by telling him Shigaraki is his master's grandson. All Might is in deep despair and not knowing what to do. But he shouldn't lose hope because I believe in him. People believe in him. And he defeated All For One. What an amazing moment. I was so happy. But he sadly loses his All For One quirk. But that's okay, because Midoriya still has it. And All Might tells him that he's next. Yeah, the others believe it was his way of letting the enemies know not to mess with All Might. But it's not. And it's a message to Midoriya, who is touched by this. Because he knows he's pretty much screwed because he hasn't mastered the One For All yet. Now we are introduced to some of the UA students' parents so that they can have a bit more screen time. And they're going to ask them if the students can stay in the dorm, specifically for Class 1A. Everyone is on board except Midoriya's mom. Also, Midoriya should be very grateful that his mom is very caring to him. Oh, well, what do you know? He came back to his senses and decided he doesn't have to go to UA Academy. All Might decides to beg on his knees to Midoriya's mom to let Midoriya to continue to be a hero. I mean, she wasn't going to let him give up his dream. Jeez. She's just worried about her son's safety. Also, she's not going to refuse All Might's requests because the whole reason her son wants to become a hero is because of him. And the fact that her son's #1 hero admires her son is shocking and surprisingly awesome. So how do you refuse that? You can't. I mean, you can, but that's I don't know. Moving on to Aizawa, who welcomes his students to the dorm, who are all excited. Yay! However, he decided they needed to feel somewhat uncomfortable. Yeah, uncomfortable. Since he was stressed throughout the whole week, thanks to them. Because they could have died, probably got lectured based on his students' behavior, action, whatever they were doing. So he told them their action in saving Bakugo would have got them expelled, and he wouldn't hesitate to do so. Well, except for Toru, Chiro, and Bakugo. However, thanks to All Might retiring, they need students to become heroes, so that the symbol of peace doesn't go away. Aizawa has finally released his stress after saying what he needs to say to them, as they are feeling uncomfortable as they go into their dorm. But it's fine because they were unpacking and everything's all dandy again. And the students decide to do a room competition. And Sato is the winner, and I have to agree because I'm going to go eat now. Bye! Well, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoy it and go have an amazing meal. I'm not kidding. And enjoy it because the food is just so delicious. Well, some are anyways. Love you all. Bye!